A New Jersey appeals court overturned a 2018 decision which protected a 16-year-old from being tried as an adult in a harrowing case of sexual assault. The boy had actually documented the incident and even shared footage among his social circle, yet this privileged background appeared to influence the judge's decision to grant him ridiculous leniency. Legal journalist Molly Barrows joins us to break this down. Molly, we've done at least 4 stories like this over the last year and a half, okay? Judge treats this little kid who with silver spoon in his mouth, born with a silver spoon in his mouth, born on third base and thinks he hit a triple. This kid is treated differently than another child that maybe doesn't come from that background. He raped a little girl.
And put it on a
video.
Put it
on social network. And the judge, who's the judge? What's the name of the judge?
Judge James Troiano. He is a family court judge in New Jersey in Monmouth County. And basically the state appeals court went back and said, hey, it isn't your call to decide arbitrarily what you think a rape is and to make all these, essentially applying his own judgment in place of the prosecutor's judgment. It wasn't just this case. 3 days after the state appeals court ruled that he should have allowed prosecutors to pursue charges against this boy as an adult, because that's what he ruled against. The prosecutors wanted this child to be the 16-year-old boy to be charged as an adult, because basically he was facing sexual assault charges, had he been, along with invasion of privacy and a number of other criminal charges. But going back to what you said, the judge essentially, when it came up before the court, he said that this was not, it didn't qualify because this kid was a good kid who came from a good family and he was going to a good school and likely was going to do really well in college. But it got worse.
I don't care if he's got, I mean, who cares if he comes from a good family and he's a good kid and he's going to do good?
That's not what the law says.
That is not the law.
Right.
Throw the little creep in prison just like everybody else who rapes people. It got worse than that, didn't it?
Yeah, so basically they were at a pajama-themed party and the basement was off limits, but in the video you can clearly see, according to the evidence and what they say in the case, is that he brought this girl downstairs. She was clearly stumbling, slurring her words. There were other boys down there. He allowed them to, it's almost embarrassing to say, but put Febreze on her bottom, and they took turns slapping her butt. And then she was so out of it, he ends up raping her, according to the law, and taping it, and then sent the video to several of his friends with a line that said, when your first time having sex is rape.
Wow. Okay, so the judge says, hey, this is a white kid. He comes from upper middle class. Parents are nice. He's going to do well. Who cares? He's a little freak. He's a little character that belongs in prison with everybody else who rapes
Because if an adult had done that, they would have been facing
Okay, give me the
charges.
second case.
So this is an interesting one, too. So 3 days after the New Jersey State Appeals Court said that he was wrong to make that call, they said something similar about Judge Marcia Silva, and it was her decision also not to pursue.
Marcia Silva
is the judge's name, and she ruled that a 16-year-old basically that was accused of raping a 12-year-old girl, that person should also not be tried as an adult, because the only real harm, in her opinion, that prosecutors said this 12-year-old suffered was losing her virginity. That even if she had said no, but basically that's what the state appeals court said, that had nothing to do with it. And even if she had said no, which prosecutor said she did say no, it basically still would have been an alleged assault because of her age.
What did the judge say about that?
So basically she said that, that they were the only 2 people there at the time, that there wasn't a lot of other evidence, that they were the only witnesses. So it was a he said, she said sort of situation. And because of that, and because the girl just lost her virginity, that it wasn't that emotionally.
The judge said losing your virginity wasn't
yeah, the prosecution had not proven that it was
okay, let's go to the heart of it. The heart of it is that New Jersey has laws. As a public policy, they have laws. And those laws are written according to what you would feel the public is accepting of as a public policy. These judges say, no, we're smarter than all that. We know more than all that. We know, for example, this little upper middle class white kid is going to he's got good parents, he goes from a good school, and I can read the future, and I can say he's not going to rape anybody else. Let me just tell you something. It doesn't stop there. If I'm making a prediction, we're going to see problems with this kid somewhere else. It's either going to be rape of some type, or there's going to be it's a repetitive thing. And for a judge to say, hey, you know, this is just a one-time shot, we got to give him a break, it's contrary to public policy. And that's what the appellate court said.
Right, that's exactly what they said, that it wasn't up to you to decide arbitrarily because your opinion differed with the prosecutor. That's why you have prosecutors in this case. This was their recommendation. They had the evidence to back it up. And in both cases, they basically said you judges, you know, forced your will in a situation where it was not necessarily, it wasn't the law, and you didn't follow the law, and you need to follow the law.
And these judges just thought they were smarter than everybody else.
Well, at least the state appeals court upheld that, and I think in this time and place now that people are more apt to criticize decisions like this. And there are 5 senators, in fact, who are legislators who are calling for their removal from the bench.
Get rid of these judges is the first place to start. Thank you for joining me, Molly.
Thanks, Pat.
Okay?